Get started. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, how is everyone doing this morning? Good? Good? Sleepy? Tired? Tired, yes? Good morning? No, no, that not enough energy. Good morning. No, I don't need you to say, sir, please don't do that. Okay, I'm your friend. Let's treat it that way. But we were taught this when I was attending a NSF meeting, National Science Foundation meeting. We used to say, good morning. And we'd be like, good morning. And then they would be like, no, no, that's not enough energy for me. Good morning. See, that's much better. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to continue where we left off yesterday. Yeah. And just like you promised yesterday, you're going to bring all those questions, right? We should make it interactive. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yesterday we talked about um, recording your movements, right? Recording your hand movements and taking alphabets from those hand movements, right? Yeah. And you saw how the alphabets look like and all that. Yeah. So today we're going to add some more layers to it and see how we can use them better. Okay. But before we begin, um, there's a team that is shooting all these videos. So they will be recorded eternally, right? If you want to get back to this course, or if there are people who are not here who want to get back to this course, they're recording all those videos. And I see this person, he's standing all the time. Yeah? He's like Superman, right? Like we're all sitting most of the time, right? This person is he's standing all the time. And I think there's a team, right? They're switching. You and yeah. Let's give it up. A big round of applause. Like, please teach me how you do that, okay? That many hours you're standing. And he's not just standing. He's trying to focus. Okay, if I walk, you'll pan the video. And if I'm showing something on the slides, you'll show the slides, right? It is active enrollment. Huh? Thank you. Okay. All right. So, so we recorded movements and we know how to get the alphabets. So let's say I'm not only recording your movements, but I'm also recording your muscle activities. Okay. And I throw all that data to see what the alphabets will be. Is that better? Will it be better? Instead of just throwing the movements, I'm also recording muscle activities, right? You saw Karthik really nicely covered the fundamentals, right, of the muscle activities, right? So in addition to the movements, now you're also putting in muscle activities into the pipeline, and then you're extracting alphabets. Is that better, right? So it will be better because you are informing the system more. You're giving more information, right? Right? You're giving more information about the movement. So let's see how do we do that, okay? So far we focused only on hand movements. Now we are taking those hand movements and we are also adding these muscle activities into that data, okay? And then throwing all that data, and that's why this is called data fusion, right? We're combining two different kinds of data, right? Kinematics as well as muscles, and throwing all that information, and then we're trying to extract the alphabets out of that. When we did that, we saw that there's major improvement in reconstruction of the hand movements. And when we saw the way the synergies were depicted, they were more meaningful and they had more information about it, okay? And this work was done by my fourth PhD student, and this is Parthan Olikal. Anybody from Kerala here? From Kerala. Okay. So this student is from Kerala, and he keeps suggesting all Malayalam movies to me, and I'm a big fan of them. Okay. So again, like so far, we added only kinematics, and then we added muscles, right? But something Dr. Karthik was teaching us exactly when I walked in. This he was saying when there is a cool drink and when there's a coffee cup, right? And when there's that mic, right? You're looking at it, right? You have some feedback, right? And if I put a dumbbell there, okay, 25 kgs dumbbell there, okay? So when you're looking at it, you know that it might be heavy, right? So when you're approaching a mic, when you're approaching a soft drink, or when you're approaching a coffee cup, your strategies are different, right? The way you approach them, it is different. But if I put a fake weight there, so I'll say this 25 kgs, but it is made of foam, right? And then you will be very, very careful when you lift it, but when you lift it, you know that this is not a weight, right? So you immediately change those strategies. So first is feed forward, and then once you interact with the object, the feedback kicks in, and it's like, oh, this is not heavy weight, right? So when you're performing movements, it's not just kinematics, right? It is dynamics. There's contact forces and there are torques, right? So how do we account for that, right? So in our study, so far we have included only kinematics, and then we added muscle activities, right? But we have not included dynamics. And this was the first time, and this was my third PhD student, Dingy Pei. She did this work when we saw dynamical synergies. So how did we do that? Okay, so there's this glove. It's called grip glove. Okay, it's called grip glove. So just like the other data glove, which was getting the movement data, this time with this glove, tech scan grip glove, we are able to get grip information. Okay, and it records contact forces and pressures. So when you're holding a cell phone, when you're holding a water bottle, it records those patterns, and the patterns come out like this. You see that matrix, right? So this is the thumb, this is the index finger, middle finger, ring and pinky finger. So these are the four fingers and thumb, and that's how they show up when you're holding a water bottle, for example. Okay, so we get that, and we also get this matrix of what in that matrix, where are the contact forces and pressures. Okay, and then once you start holding, there's a steady state period where you can get how much force you are exerting to hold that bottle. Make sense? Yeah. So using these patterns, and how many of you did the homework that I asked you to? Did you Google about PCA? Did you Google about principal component analysis? Who all did that? Raise your hands. Can anybody tell me quickly, what is it about? Who wants to share? Raise your hands. Yeah.
So, for example, if you take when we have a lot of data with correlated features, so PCA finds the new axis, means new directions it will find. So thereby, this axis will be captures maximum variance. So that thing can be keep one top view axis. That means which contains a large required desired output input. Those things only will be selected, and those things will be processed like that. I'm thinking.
Let's give it up for him. He not only did the homework, but he also shared with us. Thank you. Um, so we could use that same method. Okay. So those of you who haven't read about it, Nagarjuna Group, you guys are here. Yeah. All right. If you haven't read about it, read about it. Okay. That method you're also going to use in civil engineering. Okay. As I promised. Okay. So the same method, that same dimensionality reduction method, you could use on these postures. Okay. These postures, right? These matrices again, right? Again, these are two-dimensional matrices with activity, right? And so you could use the same methods on these types of postures. So you will get one such graph, right, per a grasp, okay? And when you have 100 grasps, you can do the same dimensional reduction method on it, and you will end up getting principal components or synergies or alphabets that look like this, okay? So we're showing two alphabets for 10 subjects here, okay? And as you can see, there are a lot of similarities across the subjects, but there are also a lot of differences, right? The way you hold cell phone is different from the way I hold my cell phone, right? So there are those dissimilarities as well between us, right? The way you will open the key to a door is different from the way I do it, but there are similarities. If you do an average, there are similarities, right? Okay, okay. So far, what our focus was on activities of daily living, how will normal people interact with the objects, and from that, how we can get alphabets of movement. Okay, so far that's what we did. Okay, how can we how can we make this superhuman? Okay, so far whatever we have done was human. How can we make this superhuman? You want to find alphabets of Superman. You want to find alphabets of a superhuman. How do you do that? Any suggestions? So far we focused only on activities of daily living, how you and I will interact with the environment. But if you really want to focus on the superhuman alphabets, if you want to get superhuman alphabets, you will need superhuman movements, right? So how can I get those superhuman movements? How many of you play basketball? Okay, all right. I'll start with you. Who are your favorite players in basketball? Do you have any favorites? Huh? You do- okay, okay. Any LeBron James? Michael Jordan, thank you. My favorite. Huh? Okay, the new players. Okay, okay. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe, yeah, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, yeah. So these are the finest, probably the best basketball players. Maybe not Shaq. Um, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. So one more homework for you today, okay? Really fun, okay? Um, when you go home, when you go back, right? Today, yeah? Um, search up Michael Jordan, okay? Michael Jordan best, just that, okay? On YouTube, okay? You'll find a lot of videos on how he plays basketball. This guy is a gifted player. You will never see a player like this, okay? So if you want to shoot a basket, you'll go like this and dunk, right? But this Michael Jordan, he'll go like this, he'll go like this, he'll go like this. Can you do that? How can you change your direction in air? How can you do that? You need surfaces, right? To push, you need this guy, he will change directions in the air. Okay? So search up. Yes, that's your homework. Okay? So um, so those are superhuman movements. Okay? Let's say I'm studying somebody who will jump, I'm studying somebody who will walk, and I get alphabets. And suddenly I shift my gears and I look at Michael Jordan's movements. And suddenly I'm now getting these superhuman movements. And from those movements, I can get superhuman alphabets, right? That is for the whole body movements. But what if I want to focus only on hand and I want superhuman hand movements? Where can I get them from? Any ideas? And I got them from India. Huh? Musicians, very good. Yes. You remember, right? So I said that in the morning, right? What is it? Where did I get those superhuman? Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, let's give it up. You remember? Thank you. So those are superhuman hand movements. So these are not like the regular hand movements that we use to grasp a water bottle. Yeah. So this work was done by Parthan again. So what we did was um, see. So far in what we have done, we are trying to get these alphabets from regular, healthy human hand movements. If you do the same thing with people with tetraplegia who have complete paralysis, and then hemiplegia that have partial paralysis, partial hand movements, right? You start seeing, okay, here are how healthy alphabets look like. And here is how, right, alphabets that are not healthy look like. And then here are those superhuman alphabets, right? And that's what we saw in this study. Okay. So we extracted postures from mudras, from classical Indian dance form, that is Bharatanatyam, right? And again, we use that same method. Okay. So those who have not done your search, go back, study principal component analysis. Yes. Okay. So we studied that. We used that same method. We applied that on, instead of normal hand postures, we applied that on classical Indian dance form mudras. Okay. And I mean, I didn't design Bharatanatyam, right? This is already existing. Um, it's in our scriptures. It's really old. Yeah. So and there's a lot of therapeutic value behind these postures. I never knew that. Okay. That's why when you see Hema Malini, everybody knows Hema Malini, right? I don't know her personally. Um, right, Hema Malini, and any other dancers you can name? Huh? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I was thinking of Shobhana as well. We grew up watching her. Yeah. So Shobhana, you see, okay, I'll take these two names. Okay, Hema Malini and Shobhana. How old do you think they are? Hema Malini, for example, she's in her late 70s. Yeah. And if you look at her, how does she look? Probably 30s, 40s. She looks younger than me, right? Yeah. That's what dance does to you. That's what dance does to you, because you are constantly engaging all those muscles every day. You're stretching, you're straining, your power, right? Right? That's what dance can do, because the dance has therapeutic value. Yeah? Workout has therapeutic value. Dance naturally has therapeutic value. You see that, right? So those of you who are young, you can start to dance. There's no problem with that, right? Those who are you can start to dance, yeah. Those who are old, people are dancing, yeah. Why not you? Okay, so now, so the motivation here was that we want to take these traditional gestures, postures from classical dance, and then extract these superhuman alphabets. And then when we observed the difference between the alphabets, there were similarities, but then there were also subtle differences. Okay, I cannot pinpoint to you where the differences are, but I can clearly show that the first posture is whole hand grasp. Yeah, that's that grasp that we use all the time. Yeah, that is in the mudras. That is in the mudras as well. Okay, and you will also see that there are movements that are related to pinch. Yeah. So remember, yesterday we were talking about this whole hand grasp and two finger pinch. This can give somebody's life back, 80% of the life back. They can go back to work. This is quality of life. Okay, write this down. This is a keyword, quality of life, QOL. This is one of the metrics used. Okay, whenever anybody is admitted to a rehab center, they measure this quality of life. Can they go back? Can they be independent? Okay, all right. And if you want to know more about this study, if you Google, we were in the news, we became really popular. So there's a lot of news that covered this study. Um, so you can take a look at it. Okay. All right. Okay. So that was the first part. Okay. That was the first part, which was hand to brain. Okay. So we were purely looking at kinematics, and then we added some muscle information, and then we added some force information. That was the first part. Okay. Now here is the second part. So we're going to go from brain to hand. Okay. So we're going to be looking at the brain signals, and then we'll go from brain to hand. Okay. And then after this, I'll show you some of the applications of this synergies. Okay. So this is all mostly theoretical, foundational. And then, so where do we apply them, right? So that's what I'm going to cover in the next part. Okay. Applications of synergies. Once that's done, then this will finish this, and then we go to the fundamentals. That is prosthetics, neuroprosthetics. Okay. All right. So let's start with the neural decoding of synergies. So where are these alphabets located in the brain? Okay. Are these really there? Where are they in the brain? Okay. So, so you can think of synergies as a very, very high level programming principle, like that puppet show we were talking about, right? Right. So the strings are up there, right? But the movements are happening right here, right? You see the movements happening right here, but the activity is right there, right? So yesterday, I think um, one of the students said, um, there's a movement and that triggers activity. Is that right? Or is the activity that is triggering the movement, right? So it's the activity, it's the brain activity that is triggering the movement. But then that's feed forward, right? right? So you're also right that once that feed forward happens, then there is feedback, right? Once you start interacting with the environment, you touch something, and then you have what is the surface? You have to send that information back to the brain, and that will modify the neural activity. Yeah. So it goes both ways. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's a good time for a break. Okay. So thank you so much. That's very good. Very thoughtful. Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back after the break and we'll continue brain to hand. Thank you.